Fagan looking slightly nervous in the Kiwi studio because he suddenly realised there's no cans anywhere nearby and he feels naked.
Where's my headphones?
Without them. I know, that's terrible to not have a broadcaster have headphones in a studio. It's like being blind.
I'll be all right.
You're right, Andrew Fagan, good morning.
Good morning, how are you, Wammo?
We're talking about Fagan and the People, new album.
There it is.
Double Team the Camera, Admiral of the Narrow Seas. It's upside down on your one.
Oh, no, sorry.
This has been a long time coming, isn't it?
Long time in the pipeline there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years?
Well, started some of the tracking about 10 years ago, but most...
When the first demos came out?
Yeah.
And you were in
England,
the UK?
yeah. That's right, yeah. Started some of the tracking then, and then put it to one side and sort of ebbed and flowed in terms of enthusiasm for trying to get the right version of a song. In some respects, I got bogged down in that trap where you got no deadline,
yeah,
and you're just trying to get it as perfect as possible.
No deadline is the worst.
Yeah,
That's the procrastination time, isn't it?
It's going to be an interesting, no deadline. It's just, well, you could say it's slowed the project up, but it's got the songs to where I wanted them to be. In the past, I've dealt with lots of deadlines where I thought we've put out things where the production wasn't quite there, you know, but it just came out because it was just the whole machine was the process of getting it. There were deadlines and stuff. But with this one, it's been the complete opposite. And I've picked up songs and then, put them down and then gone and revisited them and re-recorded them and then gone back and thought, oh no, the other version was better, but let's do a little bit more with that version. And so that's why it's taken
really
so long.
Tweaking.
Yeah, and then also different formats. I had some real issues with formats. Some of them were recorded on DA88s, which is an old digital format.
What does that look like?
It's just like a rack, really. It's like looks like an EQ unit, or,
And you can't actually pull anything out of it. There's no memory card or anything.
No, it's actual digital tape.
Wow.
Yeah, on a spool, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. So you can remove the tape.
You can, yeah, you can take them out, but there weren't a lot of those machines here either, So I ended up having to do lots of tape transfers and mucking around.
Yeah.
And then, but we finished off the album with 3 songs working with Bob Frisby out in West Auckland, which was great. So that was a different approach as well.
Is that Frisbee Studios?
Yes, yeah.
Because he used to have Frisbee Studios in Simon Street. So
That's right.
Now he's based out.
He's based out just
West.
above Power Tool Records in New Lynn there, and does a lot of work. I mean, he's just constantly busy, and that also took a bit of time because Bob.
It's a fully featured recording studio.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's upstairs there, and Bob's got a certain way of doing things, and I've enjoyed his production on lots of stuff that he does. So I wanted to work with him, and it was good. Yeah, it was a very live approach to recording, lots of spillage with mics and things, but just made it sound like.
So it sounds real. It sounds like
it's
a live event.
Yeah, well, it is really.
Yeah.
There's still overdubs and things like that, but essentially it's just a sort of a different way of approaching recording. And all his gear too. He's very experienced.
So over that 10 years with the same songs reworking and reworking, you're not sick of those songs at all? Like hate hearing them back? Or?
Yeah,
you do. Yeah.
No, it's been a bit of a mental block, to be honest with him. Just getting them finished and expelled. I can now move on. If you know what I mean.
Purged.
Yeah, But I've sort of always, when I look back on it with my stuff, I've always lived with a song for a long time before it's been come out and sort of dismissed, if you like, from your own subconscious. The first Mockers album took 5 years before it came out.
Right.
From beginning of being a band to actually getting it released. So,
is it better that you are? I mean, you're essentially solo, right? With but when you play live, you have a band. So is it better that you're solo because then no one's relying on you to get this album out on time?
That's one way to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really just the fact that it's the way the project evolved. Lots of songs. There's lots of different people have played on the record. So there's contributions from all sorts of.
Talk about
people.
them. Who are they?
Well, we got. I could pull out the liner sheet.
Yeah, because there's so many.
But essentially, there was, here we are, Craig Horn on drums, Kevin Moody, guitar, Barbara Morgan, bass, Darren Harkness, guitars, keyboards, bass, vocals, Andrew Fagan, vocals, guitar sometimes, Caitlin Smith, vocals on Religion and Messiah, Pete Zorn, wind instruments on Religion. The list carries on.
Lots of people. Admiral of the Narrow Seas, that kind of describes yourself, doesn't it?
Well, it's a little double play there. Admiral of the Narrow Seas is an old sailing ship term from 17 something. It was actually, I found it in a book called The Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue, which was published in 1811.
Oh.
And it means someone who, due to inebriation, throws up in the lap of the person sitting opposite them. So,
average Friday night out in Auckland.
Yeah, it must have been when they were rowing out in longboats and things, something like that. I don't know when, they're all hung over and going back to the sailing ship.
Yeah,
I think that's where it came from. But also, there's a few pictures in here where I used to, when I lived on the canals in England for a few years, I'd sort of pottle around there with my little fleet of toy sailing boats, which we've discussed before.
Yes,
and so in a way, I was an admiral of that narrow sea.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, of all the canals and stuff. You lived on the canals, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, let's hear a track. We'll come back and chat. Branch of the Tree.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's hear that one. All right. Here we go. Fagan and the People.
Branch of the tree. It's me. Tied to a branch of the tree. And took me. Where's your door? Please tell me what's to say. Sorry. The time feels withdrawn and wired. At times he'd rather die. At times he feels quite ill and tired. Exfoliate, regurgitate and
Rockin'. That is Fagan and the People. Fagan giving me the cue in the studio because that one finishes quite quickly. Branch of the Tree.
Took you by surprise.
Took me by surprise.
That's the way.
Good to be playing with a band again.
Great. Yeah. Had some good gigs on the weekend.
Because you've done a lot of solo stuff. So,
yeah, but it's always better playing with a band. You know, it's full. You know, better representation of the songs essentially.
Yeah. Do you still play to the crowd, but also the world?
Yeah, that's right, in my box.
Yeah.
That's right, I got my totem pole, so I'm playing that to the world as well as the crowd.
I totally reckon you should hook that up to the internet.
You got to give me that.
And then you definitely would be playing.
Well, that's all I've got to do. Just got to give me the lowdown afterwards, Wammo, on actually the technology required, because it must be simple these days.
Yeah, it's real simple. Real simple. And of course, you know, in between music and broadcasting, you know, your other passion is being out on the water. Are you getting to do that as much as you can these days?
As much as I can, but not as much as I'd like to be honest.
Yeah.
You're still sort of tied into, you know, having to sort of be in town all the time.
What's the first love? Is it sailing or music?
Be a combination, really.
Yeah.
I just sort of compartmentalise all the things I like and then do them.
Yeah. A gig out on the water, that'd be
good.
Thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I always liked that. I remember, I haven't played there for years, but that Bowler Brooklands gig was quite fun because it had the water right in front of the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
In New Plymouth.
I mean, what would the ideal lifestyle, Andrew Fagan lifestyle, be in the future?
Well, I thought this one up years ago, but still sort of haven't quite got the budget to do it. But build a huge sailing ship, a big catamaran, with a stage on the back.
Yeah.
And then, because catamarans can take the ground too, tidal stuff, so the tide can go out, and then just sort of sail around the world, going into places and playing to the locals.
Yeah. And then go to the truck out again.
Yeah, and go to the next one. And then wait till the tide comes in and then sail off and then, organise with the local radio station somewhere and turn up, and sort of like a free, like they used to do those free coastal gigs in the old days, people would sort of set up a stage down at the beach at Scorching Bay in Wellington or whatever, and people just turn up, but do it on the back of a boat.
It would totally work for a New Zealand summer, eh?
Yeah, it would. And you could get lots of different bands involved, and everywhere you went in the world you could have different people come and play with you. Yeah. But the big thing is that you'd just be able to play and sail as well at the same time.
I know we're getting off track with music, but this Astrolabe Reef, right? Down
yes.
south, have you navigated that before?
I haven't actually been past there. I've been further offshore. I've never been that close to it, but I pulled out the chart the other day and had a look at it, and it's about 12 nautical miles off Papamoa Beach.
It's always been there, eh? Just didn't appear overnight recently at all.
It's actually, when you start looking at the chart around Tauranga there, it's quite tricky. There are quite a few unmarked reefs and rocks, and there's no sector lights which show you whether you're in the wrong area or not. There's just like that Motiti Island. It's got just a light on it.
Yeah.
But, a big ship like that, there's no way that they make those mistakes usually. Because these days got GPS and they've got chart plotters. Yeah. So while you're standing there on the bridge with your big wheel, they don't even have wheels now, it's like little joysticks on some of these ships. But while you're there, you've got a big screen in front of you that shows you where you are on the screen and where all the obstacles are. It's simple usually.
Drunk, I can only assume drunk at the helm.
Yeah, well, who knows? It'll come out in the court of inquiry, but that could be a long way away yet.
Yeah.
But it's not looking good at the moment with that. The wind's going to pick up for the first time, really. It's been very settled with no significant groundswell, but things will change by the look of it in the next 48 hours.
Of course, no oil on board Swirly World, eh?
I got a little engine.
Do you?
A little 6 horsepower Liffin.
Just in case.
Petrol-cooled thing. When there's no wind, trying to get into marinas and things like that, it's just really, it works when it's flat calm, yeah. But a very minor amount of oil. It's a tiny engine. Try
to draw this back into the music.
Okay.
Is there any room on the boat for a guitar? Do you take
There is, but I tend to just like compartmentalise. The last time I took my guitar with me, it's always getting sort of like little drips and things, and everything went
salty.
Rusty. All the strings were all rusty. And
you'd have to have plastic strings, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and the machine heads all started. Yeah. The salt water's shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets in everything.
It's the atmosphere. It's just any salt in the atmosphere is just a shocker.
And do you write songs out on the water?
No, I don't. Not really. But I do think up things to write about. Like Get Light, for example, on this CD was about all the shipwrecked people down at the Auckland Islands when I went down there a few years ago. Yeah. So that was sort of the idea for that was sourced from that trip.
Okay. And that was the last kind of big trip you did, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
dangerous.
I just finished writing about it, actually. Managed to knock out 100,000 words in 8 months.
Are you allowed to do a trip like that ever again?
I think I am. I don't, there's no one telling me not to. I can't see it.
Yeah.
I haven't got to get permission. The big thing is just actually organising your life to have the time available to do it.
Indeed. Hey, well, seeing you mentioned the track Get Light, I reckon that's the one that we should go out on.
Good one.
And so the album it is out now.
It's out now today. It's come out. It will actually be in shops, I believe, today.
Boom. And you can get a hold of it in the shops. Is there digital versions?
There is. It's on Amplify. You can look up Amplify and you can get the whole thing there.
And there's a website that people can...
Facebook, Fagan and the People.
Yeah?
And also MySpace, Fagan and the People.
Sweet. All right, here we go. It is Get Light. Andrew Fagan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Wammo.